What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
I wish there were a lot of things that wasn't like insanely orange, but it is what it is.
What?
But nothing. I'm saying their apparel, because their team color is orange, all of it is primarily orange. And there's things where I'm like, wow, that hoodie's really nice, but it's bright orange, and I would look like a highlighter if I wore it. So it's...
That's why I got you that black one.
Yeah, the black one. I love that black one. But hello, friends, everyone.
So awkward.
We're just rolling right through it. Right through it.
It's our 50th episode. You would think we're okay, but
yeah, it's our
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
I was gonna do a bigger side, but I'm absolutely not artistic at all. So
it's okay. Thank you.
That's fine. Neither am I.
We've talked about this before. Yeah, 50 episodes, and then March 1st was our 1 year since our first episode. So
yeah, which is
congratulations.
Insane.
Thank you. Yeah, but it's happy. We like to say we're not talking to ourselves anymore. We have a good, solid group of people, supporters that we have very. Yeah. Well, Mark knows about the friends. You don't, Owen.
Yes, this is true. And again, the offer stands. It's still here, Owen.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Well,
the offer still stands.
Owen's in charge of Threads this weekend for race coverage, so.
Oh, that's right.
I am in charge of race coverage. So you'll
technically be on Threads.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, yes, but it's not a permanent join. That I still gotta make everybody wait for that. Just
For what? Lando's first win.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Lando's
you know
first
what?
win. Oh, it's gonna.
You know what? There it is.
Okay.
That's a decree. When Lando wins his first race, that's when Owen.
You'll join Threads. Okay.
Does a sprint race count? Just to be clear, I just want to make sure.
I will allow that. Just because I know that saying his first race.
Let the record reflect.
Yes, I will allow that.
Okay.
Because saying winning a full race is obviously right now a lot harder than normal.
It's a bit of a stretch. Shall we say?
Yeah. I shouldn't have told Threads that you were going to be posting this weekend and seen if they could have figured out the difference, because there's definitely a difference between you posting and me posting.
God, yeah. Are you serious? There's not even like a there's not even like a story there. There's literally just like you know how to post on social media, and you're so much more, your personality comes through so much more on social media. Meanwhile, I'm just like, here's your drivers that were eliminated in qualifying.
5 drivers out. XX.
Yeah.
XX.
Yeah. Boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
Here we go for Q3. That's my tweeting. That's what it is.
You'll show excitement when Haas gets through the Q3 again, or Lando's getting pole.
Yes. If Haas gets to Q3, they pull that shocker. That's also not really a shocker anymore, because I've opened up and said that we can hit a 1-lap really good pace, but race pace is just not there.
It's like Ferrari last year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm delusional right now about Haas, but I think they've figured some things out with the race pace. Like it wasn't.
They definitely figured some stuff out for tire degradation.
Yeah.
They definitely took a step in the right direction on that end.
Absolutely. And to see K-Mag move up a couple of spots, to see Nico move up a couple of spots after obviously going back to the back of the pack.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to get optimistic about them, let's just say.
Well, they're not the back of the grid. We know that.
No,
they said
they're not.
They're not. Another team in turmoil is the back of the grid.
Yes.
Yeah, let's just jump right into it. Race recap. First race of the season. It was.
What did we?
Good.
What's one word? One word you would use to describe the race for both of you. It goes to both of you. What do we think?
I'm gonna say normal.
Okay.
Expected.
Yeah.
God, you stole my word. Damn it.
Okay, what's your second choice?
Yeah, what's your back?
I don't know. Normal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was over by lap 3, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty clear. Like, all right, nobody's catching them. But I mean, there was fun stuff from 2 to 20. And I think, look, we talked about this a lot last season. It's like, if you're just going to focus on P1, then yeah, you're probably going to be disappointed. It looks like 23 more times this season. But if our good friend Casper on Threads, if you subscribe to his point of view that like P2 is the new P1 or P3 is the new P1.
Oh yeah.
Then these races are fun. I mean, obviously you had, Charles and Carlos battling early. You had Leclerc coming back against Russell late. You had Sainz trying to chase down Checo. There was excitement. You had obviously, and for those of us in the written content business who were like, wow, what are we going to write about? Then it comes lap 52 and Yuki gets told to do what he's told to do and loses his mind. And it's like, all right, well, my Saturday afternoon and Sunday are completely planned now because that's been some great content there. But yeah, I mean, at the front of the field, it's all right. Max is fantastic.
Yeah, he's not human. Have you seen that meme where the guy, it's like electrical tape, and like during the race on TV, he like covers Max's P1 because obviously you know he's going to be there. So it's just from down below, blocks it out. I'm like, that makes sense.
I mean, that's the world we're living in right now. Now, obviously, there's other stuff happening at Red Bull, which I can't wrap my mind around right now, and I don't know what to believe. And it's all very crazy, and nobody knows anything. But on the track, things are good for them. You could say that.
It's definitely. Go ahead, Case.
No, I was gonna say, I felt like this morning, to go off a little bit about Red Bull, I think every time I refreshed social media, there was something new, crazy. Literally every 5 minutes, I was like, "Slow down."
Yeah,
what's not true?
It's sort of made the leap from the F1 world to the greater sports world and beyond. Like, there's obviously there's Vox and there's I'm at SB Nation, but there's other sites. This is going to the main Vox site. Like, there's going to be a story on Christian Horner. Like, it's leapt from just the sports world to the like bigger media landscape, which tells you how big this is becoming. We were doing our Monday NFL show, and we opened with, on a scale of 1 to 10, how crazy is what is happening right now, Red Bull. And I was like, it's like a 75. Like, it's off the charts, crazy. And it's clear that there's a power struggle of sorts. It's clear that there are people that are still unhappy with Horner, period. Let alone this underlying investigation. I did not get the do or die email. I'm not sure if I had. I would have opened it because you get an email with a Google Drive in the year 2024. It had the mass fishing exercise there too, but then click on it. But it's clear that there's some sort of power struggle at play here, and it's a mess. Winning cures everything typically is the phrase in sports, but they've won a lot, and this is still happening. So it's like there's going to be more to come.
Yeah, the story's not over.
No.
We when we had talked about it, I don't know, I can't remember if that was 2 episodes ago or 1 episode ago, Case, but when we'd said this is what we know so far, and this is all we're kind of saying, but I remember talking about it off camera and everything, and it was just if all of this is true, this is going to change everything for Red Bull. And it's now you're getting the stuff with, I think we can confidently say that one of the people not happy with Christian Horner is Jos Verstappen. And it's now the realm is opening up of okay, if Horner's out, what happens with Verstappen? And that it's not this crazy question to ask anymore. And it's just it goes back to, it's just if this is true, and if the repercussions that will follow this coming out, if it's true, happen, it is going to be insane for the team, and it is going to rock everything that team knows. And right now, everybody in the F1 world and the regular sports and news world, Mark is saying, just rock everybody and just be holy crap. I
saw someone today say it's going to be a butterfly effect just throughout. If the decision's made.
how far we've come in the past week, let's say, because it went from, is Horner going to survive, to now Max might leave. And oh, by the way, there are clauses in his contract that give him an escape route if Marco's gone or if other key figures leave. That's a wild acceleration. I mean, that's like Stroll when lights went out on Saturday night, like off the line, like, whoa, this is happening really fast. And I don't know how you put the toothpaste back in the tube, so to speak. Like, now that this is all out there. And look, Josh has a massive chip to play here. He's Max Verstappen. Like, 3-time drivers champion, and certainly looks like he's going to win his 4th straight. And you've got that Mercedes seat hanging out there.
Yeah, no one's going to say no to him.
And you know Toto Wolff would love nothing more than to fix what he couldn't do years ago when he tried to get Max into that seat. That's one heck of a lot of leverage.
And you know Toto too, going on with that, would love that just like poetic revenge of just Max has been a thorn in our side for how many years now, and it's just like, oops, here we go, he's ours now. Like,
you want a Max and Lewis fight again, but at Mercedes and Ferrari, like that's you can't make that.
It'd be insane.
I mean, and like Casey said, it's a massive butterfly effect. I mean, obviously, like the first part was sort of Lewis leaving, like that sort of opened the door to this, because I think, you know, maybe it would be, Max might leave for Ferrari. If you know, we were in a world where Lewis hadn't decided to leave Ferrari, and it's just leave for Ferrari, and it's like, okay, well, maybe he'll leave Red Bull and go to Ferrari. I mean, maybe that's a possibility. But Lewis leaving sort of opens the door to all of these wild possibilities, and it's going to be a lot. And it trickles down to, like we saw with Yuki and Ricciardo. Like, look, they're both fighting for what they think is Checo's seat, but at the same time fighting for their own spots. They've got Liam coming up. Like,
who deserves it?
I mean, there's going to be that tension. There's, you know, that team that's struggling at the back of the field. I love the meme of the 2 pink buses at the back of the grid. Like Esteban and Pierre, they're both out of contract, and they've got drivers that, you know, might be wanting their spots. You've got the 2 Sauber guys that are out of contract. Like, when you've got 2 team drivers, 2 teammates that are both out of contract, you know, what happens when Esteban is told to move over for Pierre, or Valtteri is told to move over? Like, there's going to be this tension. I mean, this was just race 1.
Yeah.
Like, imagine like last couple of races before the summer break when everything truly goes down, or usually goes down. It's gonna be pure chaos.
The drama.
yeah, absolutely.
It's
definitely producers are gonna be like, yes.
Yeah, I mean, Netflix is like, okay, you thought season 6 was bad, it was, but you wait, because like season 7 is gonna be, it's gonna be like 25 episodes. They're gonna be like, you can't cram this into just like 6 or 7 or 8 shows. No,
it's gonna be
definitely
so long.
I'm gonna say it again, sound like a broken record. The butterfly effect of just from Lewis heading to Ferrari is going to be insane, and we already knew that. And then this whole Red Bull Christian Horner saga just adds so much more like layers onto it and possibilities onto it, and it's just like we're literally just like I know, at least for me, like I'm sitting there and I'm just like, give me my popcorn, and I just want to see how this all plays out. Like, just like, let me watch, essentially.
And the other thing is, we're also doing this. We're recording this on the day where we find out that Mohammed bin Salman, like injected himself into last year's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and so you've got Horner under fire, you've got MBS under fire, and look, this is not his first taste of controversy. You've got 2 major figures in this sport fighting to keep their jobs.
Saw someone today say someone's like, this still goes back to Alex Albon and his appendix. Somehow maybe
that's the first little flap of the way right back
there. That's the first start. Sebastian Vettel's retirement, Alex Albon's appendix started it all.
I mean, then we go to Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari.
I mean, man, there's such an arc to all of it. Absolutely, it's absurd. I mean, it makes it great for us because it gives us stuff to talk about. Because let's remember how this little conversation began with. So how was last Saturday's race? And we went from Max won to all of this, and like again, maybe inside of a minute.
Yeah. We just exploded.
Yeah.
It's wild, but well, definitely I'm so interested to see how it plays out. But yeah, I mean, all we can do is just like watch and just and see, and just kind of see where the dust settles at the end of it. Yeah, thank you. I couldn't think of the word. But I'm curious. I want to know. We just mentioned them too, and I think it's a good segue into going over teams and everything for the race. What was your whole thought on the whole Yuki, Daniel Ricciardo spiel at the end of the race?
Yeah,
and what did you think of the team orders for Yuki to swap with Ricciardo during the race?
Yeah, and there's a couple of things to sort of chew on here, and I wrote about it a bit today.
Yeah,
I think the initial order is fine in the sense that I think that's the right racing process. You've got Yuki on the hards, Daniel on the softs. He's within DRS range of Yuki, who's within DRS range of K-Mag at the time. It was like 0.5 seconds from Yuki to K-Mag, 0.7 from Daniel up to Yuki. So like softs versus hards at that point of the race, and apparently they had talked about it. The order itself, I think, is fine. I think the bigger question becomes how it was communicated. Was it made clear to both drivers in pre-race discussions and pre-race conversations that, look, if this is the scenario, we're given the order to let the driver on softs go through, regardless of where we are, whether we're fighting for P10, P9, P8, or P12, this is what we're going to do. Daniel seemed to think that, look, this was discussed. Yuki, a little bit cloudy on that, and maybe that's because it was discussed, that he was just like, no, I don't care. Like, why are we doing this? There's no point to this. Right. But I think that going forward, they need to be a little bit clearer with, okay, this is what we're going to do to try to eliminate what we saw after. And I also think, like, there's a line of thought that, and this is something I sort of walked through, like, he wasn't going to get to P10, right? Like, the gap from Zhou Guan Yu, who was in 11, to Stroll was 7 seconds, and you go back from there. With 6 laps to go, because it came in on lap 52, like, you're not getting a point out of it. Now, maybe you move up a couple of spots, and that matters for tiebreakers down the road. A lot of things you can sort of say there. But I think the underlying process was correct. How they went about it with team communication, I think, was a bit flawed. And it would be easy to sit there and crush them now, but I think that's more a results-based analysis of it. Like, I think if they go out through the rest of the season and their main underlying process is, if we're in a situation like this, we'll let the driver on the softs go through. Like, I think that's good racing process. I think it's a smart approach. I think they have to be much better about communicating it. Now, again, maybe Yuki's just kind of like, I don't understand. And he knew going in. It was just trying to, like, push back on it now. Maybe not. But I think they got to be clear going forward. Like, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see if there's any sort of, like, any report comes out that, like, Yuki, I don't know, like, gets, like, a slap on the wrist for, like, lack of a better term of just, like, what you're saying, like, hey, you knew this going in.
Right.
Like, don't say that you didn't when you did. Or it's like, okay, hey, or if, RB comes out and there's like, hey, we need to,
I think if it were me in that box, as Lauren or, their sporting director, I would come out and throw myself under the bus and say, we need to do a better job. I think that's probably the best way as a team to sort of get in front of this. And there was some discussion of that in their sort of post-race comments about, like, we need to clear up what happened there. I think you throw the team principal and the sporting director in front of it and say, look, we need to do a better job, even if it was completely Yuki, because it would just seem, with everything we just spent 10 minutes talking about, like, if you throw Yuki under the bus here in week 2, and then Liam suddenly pop it up for an FP1 run in a couple of weeks, like, again, like, to use the phrase we talked about earlier, like, you can't put the toothpaste back in the bottle at that point. So I think team leadership has to get in front and say, like, we need to do a better job. Then behind the scenes, I take Yuki aside and say, listen, like, we told you this, man, and now we're throwing ourselves on the grenade. Like, this is what we're going to do. If this week we're in lap, 46 and you're in P11, or P12 behind Daniel, who's on the hards, and you're on the softs, we're going to have him let you go through. Like, we'll work with you, both of you guys. We want you both to succeed. But if you're the one that's told to move aside, you got to do it. Mm-hmm. Now, again, this is to the underlying 2 drivers at VCARB. You know, Max, maybe we still think at Red Bull, and Checo, maybe Checo's suddenly Red Bull driver 1 and Max is a Ferrari. Who knows? And you've got Liam, like, you've got 4 drivers. Mm-hmm. 5 drivers, 4 seats. Like, there's gonna be that tension year round, which is again why I think the team has to get in front of this sooner rather than later.
Right. I thought they would have too, especially because you saw the onboard and Yuki during his cooldown lap. He like locked up in front of Daniel and almost caught his crash. And then Daniel in the post race basically called Yuki like immature and whatever. So I was waiting for honestly the team to jump ahead because it was already, you could tell that they were just.
And what I thought was really interesting. Usually they're one of the first teams to like blast out their post race, post event quote things. It was a while. So like I really expected more. I'm seriously like refreshing the email. I'm like, where is this? So I expected them to do a little bit more with it, and I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, once they all arrive at Jeddah and they all start doing the media stuff, if it's clearer from team leadership that like, we need to do a better job of this. This is on us to fix. Like, we have to make sure our drivers know exactly what we're planning. But it would also not surprise me if Yuki's been sort of given the like, hey, come on, man. We told you this. This was not a surprise. I understand heat of the moment. You're pushing as hard as you can. You're trying to get K-Mag yourself. Last thing you want to be told is move aside in that moment. But we had prepped you for this. This should not have been a surprise.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, like you're saying, I get getting caught up in the moment and just like, I don't want to, you know, I'm coming, you know, I'm trying to catch him on my own, but you're telling me all of a sudden that I need to fall back. But yes, I think you are right in the sense of like, it definitely was communicated to Yuki, you know, just being like, hey, we told, like, you knew that this was going to happen. So,
now the other thing though, lock it up in front of Daniel after the cooldown lap. Like, that's another discussion.
Yeah.
Like, that's I don't care what we told you. I don't care what we're doing. We've got 2 multi-million-dollar machines here, and we've got 6 days until lights go out in Jeddah. Like, we do not want to be spending any time, more time than necessary, like fixing what we have to fix. If those two collided, I mean, the content would have been great.
Would have been it would have been Daniel and Max when Daniel went into the back of Max years ago. And I feel like with how Yuki's been portrayed in Drive to Survive and the media and stuff, and how they say like he gets a short fuse, he freaks out, like he goes off on the radio. That didn't help when he then was going off on the radio as well.
And it didn't stop. Right?
No.
Look, he's still so slow. Like, he was still mad about it, which again, you're talking about 20 of the most competitive people on the planet. Like, I get it. And, you know, it's also important to remember, like, F1 teammates, drivers as teammates, they don't make the best teammates out there. I mean, there's a long history in this sport of teammates, you know, almost killing each other. I mean, like, so I get it, but, like, especially the cool-down lap thing. Like, it's so good.
I just looked, too, because I was interested to see who – because they redid the whole press conference and media availability, but Laurent McKees was in last week, so I was like, he'll probably be in this week, and they'll definitely ask him, but he was in this week.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they'll switch it around since they now only do 4.
Yeah, it's weird how they're doing it now.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll be interested to see.
There was a lot of discourse online about Yuki locking up in front and everything, and people going front on the side of Yuki being like, well, yeah, he has every right to be pissed off. And then there's other people taking the road of like, he can be pissed off, but he got team orders. Like, he's got to follow them. So it's definitely.
I was annoyed because I was like, they're not. If they were closer for the points, I would get it. If Daniel Ricciardo was clearly faster, let him through. But I was like, they're so far away from the point. So at first I was like, I'm with Yuki. Yeah, he has every right to be annoyed. There's no point. The race is almost over. But then when you look at everything else, you're like, okay, it makes sense.
I mean, I think the sort of middle ground approach is like, it was probably frustrating for Yuki. You got to move over, and you certainly can't do what you did after the checker flag flies. Like,
yeah.
And hopefully for, you know, team camaraderie, like, Next time they're in the situation, it's Daniel that's told to get aside.
Mhm.
Now, if Daniel then doesn't move, well, then we know what's happening.
You have an issue.
There's an issue there. Yes.
There's a bigger issue. I
There's
texted Owen.
an issue.
I'm changing the subject. I texted Owen because he watched the race a little bit later. I said, I'm interested to know who your driver of the day is. Because, yes, Carlos did a great drive, but he was not my driver of the day. Now, shut up, Owen. Don't say what you're going to say. I'm interested to see
I won't.
If he's your driver today, if you have someone else. We both have someone else. Different people, but
I have somebody as driver of the day that didn't even finish in the points.
Oh?
Who is it?
Zogorn you.
Yes.
That was a great drive.
That was so good.
That was really impressive.
When Casey texted me that and said, who's going to be your driver of the day? You have to tell me. I immediately start looking, and I'm like, oh, well, look, Shogun Yu is up 7 positions right now. I was like, he's 7 positions higher than where he started. And then I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, wait, he's falling back down because, he had a couple people pit in front of him and everything, and then he's pitting, and I'm like, all right, so then maybe. But then he still finished the race 6 spots higher than where he started. And I was like, that to me is just that, like, my reason for not picking Carlos is after preseason testing and after especially like FP1 to 3 as well in qualifying, like Ferrari finishing third and 4th.
They should.
I wasn't like, oh my God, like that's great for Ferrari. It was like, okay, you've been talking a big game throughout preseason testing and practice and everything, and you've shown that you've worked on the car and you've made it better. I'm not shocked that you're 3rd and 4th. Like, I'm not surprised that you're there, So that's the thing. When I was like, look, I'm surprised that Joe is 11th. I was like, that's my driver of the day.
And I think they've got something with that car.
They do. That car looks beautiful on track. First of all, it does look beautiful on track. Like, it really, really so
does.
Nice.
But, Bottas, if he doesn't have that left front, like, he obviously finishes higher too. Like, I mean, we'll see. Obviously, Jeddah's a different track, and you've had lots and lots of lap times and work done in Bahrain now. Like, we'll see. It's going to look a lot different, I think, this week. But their sort of post-race comments and everything that came out, it was like, yeah, they're thinking they've got something right now. Especially when you look around and like, Haas, maybe they've figured out tire wear and things like that. But maybe the race pace still isn't where it needs to be. You've got Alpine struggling. V-Carb looks like they're going to kill each other from within. Like, you're looking around, you're like, suddenly we're at the top of the midfield. Williams is struggling with their new steering wheel. Left and right. Like,
don't get me started.
Albon doesn't know which buttons to press on it.
It's too hot.
It's failing. Like, it's got the too hot warning, which is, we've been blessed with so many incredible memes. Just through the first week. I mean, it's been incredible. Yeah. But Sauber's looking around like, hey, wait a second, we're not so bad right now.
No.
Yeah. I was definitely shocked with how well they performed. Both of them too. Like you said, he did struggle a little bit, Valtteri, but like he still did pretty deep. Like he wasn't blaringly having issues, which is like all these other teams, like you just said, Alpine, Williams, like all these guys, it was like, okay, I'm aware that they're having issues and I'm aware that they're struggling and it's showing, where it was like Sauber is just like, oh, like we're kind of here right now, and we're, like you said, we're in the front of the midfield. So I was like, oh shit, we're here. I
was happy for Joe too, because I feel like so many people wrote him off last year and he has something to prove to keep his seat. So I was excited to see how well he did. My driver of the day was the person in front of him, Lance Stroll. I thought he had a great comeback. Yeah. After that, he spun in the beginning and then to come back and finish in the points. I mean, Aston Martin in general, I expected more from them. I think from last year, whenever they didn't have as much pace as I was expecting. But I thought Lance Stroll had a good comeback.
I mean, he had an incredible start. Like off the line, that was incredible. And then to get, bumped back and spun right away to get back into the points, I thought was huge. And that, hey, I think there's a team that obeyed the team orders because
Yep.
if I recall correctly, he was told to get aside for Fernando. I was like, okay, well, that's what
Yeah.
we're doing.
Yeah, sure.
It's probably
Yeah.
different when you're running P9, P10 as opposed to P.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought he had a really good drive as well. I mean, sure, Carlos was great. Like that was an all-around performance from him. And, they were loving it enough on TV with good reason. He looks like a complete driver. He certainly got stuff to prove this year, but you expected Ferrari to be up near the front, given everything they've shown. For Sauber to have the kind of day they had, even without the points. Aston, I think, like Casey said, I expected a bit more pace, but I feel like they're playing the long game this year more so than last year. Like everything they've said from when they launched the AMR 24 till now has been mid-season development, because they were so bad from like July.
Yeah, their drop off,
where they know, like, look, we can't do that again because, forget McLaren catching you. Like, you've got teams like Williams that are hoping to be up in that fight. Sauber, maybe, given what we've seen so far. Like, you can't have that kind of drop off mid-season as they did last year. So I think they're kind of pacing themselves, so to speak, to come out. Still a double point start to the season, which is anything to like scoff at. But I'm more curious to see what they look like, Silverstone and beyond.
I was happy to see they also made a point to post it McLaren because last year Bahrain for McLaren was awful.
And 2 years ago too. I mean, they made it clear. Like 2 years ago, no points. Last year, no points.
Points.
Last year was just like poor Lando. He's pitting every 10 laps to manage the leak that he had. Piastri was already out by like lap 13. Double points and pick up a spot like Lando did. Like they were overjoyed at that. I mean,
right now they're 4 points behind Mercedes for third.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying. Just gonna leave that there.
And it's one race.
Just gonna toss that in there.
Yeah. I mean, they certainly have gotten off to a much better start than they did last year.
Oh yeah.
And they're excited about that. And they still don't feel like this track fits the MCL 38. They feel like going forward, I'm curious how it looks this week in Jeddah on this circuit, but they feel like they have tracks coming up that are much better than Bahrain is with them. And to come out with, 12 points, just a little bit behind Mercedes in the standings.
That's what they need, though.
They feel pretty good about that.
I have a feeling.
I was just like listening to pre-race interviews, and when they were going through practice, they were saying, Zach Brown, I think, was pretty adamant to make it a point of like, hey, we're not really expecting to be true to what we think we are this year at this race. Like Bahrain is not a good track for us. Like it never really has been. It just is what it is. And then like, it was funny because as you got closer to the race, they were kind of like, the narrative kind of switched a little bit. And I like started hearing rumblings of like, oh, hey, we might do better than what we think. So I think, the fact that, you have Oscar finishing where he qualified in the points, good. And then, like you said, you got Lando picking up one spot. You come out of it with 12 points out of your past 2 years where you've come out of it with 0 points, a huge morale boost and a huge confidence boost for the team of just like, okay, we are continuing this trend from how we were in the latter half of the season last year. It was we are making these improvements, and if we score points on a track that is known to be bad for us, we're happy.
I did see in their post-race, because Oscar crashed Lando's post-race interview with like Will Buxton and that and stuff, and they both hated that last corner. Lando's like, if I could have raced that entire corner, I would. He's like, I felt like I was on one wheel going around the corner. I never know how to read Lando too before any race because he normally plays it down so much. I'm like, are you sandbagging yourself, or are you like laying low the expectations? And when you do really well, then it's like, oh yeah, but no, I was happy to see them do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Owen said, like their entire like narrative shifted around. I forget what day. We'll say Friday, where it was kind of like, okay, they're showing a little bit more than even they thought. So you felt like, okay, well, maybe they could make a little bit of noise up front. But to get out with a P8, a P6, the double points, 12 points, more than the last 2 years combined, it's really good for them. And I think it is, to the other point, if you had all that great success down the stretch last year and then come out and put another goose egg on the board, it would have felt like it all stopped.
Yep.
And to continue that, I think is huge because let's face it, look, there's a ton of buzz around them coming into this year, given how they ended. And so to continue that, I think is huge for everybody, both on the track, at the factory, and everywhere in that organization.
I think, not to go back, because was it Thursday practice? Like Lando was having an issue. He ran no laps, and then I feel like Friday after FP3 is when they started.
Yeah.
And then quali, they were fast in quali.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's happened. Good to see them continue, and I'm interested to see because everyone keeps saying that Oscar still needs to focus on tire day and listening to not wearing them down. So I'm interested to see his second year as a driver. I feel like it'll be obviously 10 times better than his rookie season.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think he's gotten a little bit better at it.
But
that's a main area of growth that he needs to sort of focus on. It's kind of an issue for him last year. And I think he'd be the first one to tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely something that he needs to fix this year. And I agree with you, Case. It'll be very interesting to see with it being his second year now. You have all this more experience just from getting through your rookie year, how much of a difference it's going to make,
That's a good segue to the other rookie that's in the second year on the grid, Williams.
That's a tough one.
Owen was going off about the steering wheel because he went off last year when McLaren was having the steering wheel issues. I never realized that Williams never had a screen on their steering wheel before.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever paid attention.
It was on the car before.
Yeah.
The steering wheel would curve in on the top of it, and then so that way when you're looking through, it dips down this, and you can see it. So now it's on the wheel this year instead of on the body of the car.
And that takes getting used to. I mean, your eye angle is just a little bit different when you're trying to see things, and so that's part of the process. And they've got now multiple electrical failures with it with Logan. I mean, because he had one, before the race and quality.
Yeah.
And then, he had the one, in the race where he goes off a turn 4 and somehow manages to get it back on the track. Yeah, kind of disappointing, obviously for them overall. Kind of expected more from them at the start of the season. I'm very curious to see what it's like for them this week because, based on last year's car, you'd expect this to be kind of a good place for them. But they made such a point, when they launched this car. I remember Alex telling us, I'm very curious to see if it's more compatible with all the tracks instead of last year where it's Monza, Vegas, they're going to be great.
Yeah, they're we
know. They knew it too. Like James was saying in New York City, you all knew where we'd be good and where we'd struggle. Now they want to see if they could be a bit more consistent. Consistency is the word that they've been using pretty much these past 2 years. Consistency with Logan getting better from track to track, week to week. Consistency now with the FW46 from track to track. Is it going to be just straights where they're good, or can they be a bit more universal? I don't think we got a really good feel for that these past couple of weeks. Now, this is probably, I think, going to be a decent track for them, but we'll see. And it's not the start that they wanted. There's obviously some frustration with the reliability issues. They had some overheating issues of their own that they had to deal with. Mercedes, which is also something to watch. 2 Mercedes teams there, basically with the customer team and Williams. And so, not the start that Williams wanted. Obviously, not the start that Logan wanted. He's certainly under pressure. He knows it. And I think by the end, you could hear him all throughout this preseason, from when they launched the car up until now. He was just beaten down by the end of the year, physically, and that's the one thing that I think is going to be a lot different for him this year is the training, the regimen, all the work he put in. He's in better physical shape. I think he's in better mental shape as well. So maybe this will be a one-off for him and it'll be better next week, but we'll see. But yeah, disappointed start for Williams, sure.
I love those 3 as a team, though. I don't know why, but James, Alex, and Logan are just seem like the perfect trio. James seems like an insane leader. Yeah. I loved him before, then Drive Survive. I loved him even more.
And Like, I'll just say this, sitting literally across the table from him, like, again, I'm terrified of heights. Like, I'm absolutely terrified of heights. And it's like, I'm ignoring the fact that I can see the top of the Empire State Building from where we're sitting, because Rainbow Road is 65 stories up, kids.
Oh.
He's talking. I'm like, yeah, I'm not terrified anymore. Like,
He makes you feel calm.
said on threads, like they would listen to if he did like a voiceover for a book or something, it'd be perfect because it would just calm you down. But his vision, I mean, that's really what's important.
Yeah.
And he talked so much in New York City about, like, look, all the stuff that they need to change. He was talking about how there were some machines that were the size of rooms that really needed to be the size of a small desk. They're so old and obsolete, and all the stuff they have to do at the factory to, like, get them, not to say a 2024 F1 team, but he almost made it seem like a 1990s F1 team.
It's a little outdated.
Yeah. And look, they're on their way. I would love the three of them to be kept together for 3 years to see what it looks like, in year 4 of this group, of this trio. But we know this sport. Like, are they going to get that kind of time? Is Albon going to find his way back to Red Bull? And Sargent going to lose his seat? Like, we know how this sport works. But in an ideal world, like, I'd love to, like, run, F1 manager for, like, just sim it for 5 years and see where it goes, because I love the three of them together. You're right.
Yeah. No, I hope Logan can prove himself this season too.
I feel like so too.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I was going to ask this question, but this is a good jump into it. Like, can we look at this race with Bahrain and everything and kind of lump that in with Logan of last year? Because we knew that Logan struggled last year, but what happened this weekend was that feels to me like it was strictly a technical one-off, car thing.
I'm choosing to view this more as a technical one-off, and that's not because I'm gonna be talking to Logan in a couple of days here. I mean, I don't want to write anything bad and then have Williams come back and say, "Look, sorry,
no more."
He's busy now. But no, I'm viewing it more as a reliability issue that undid it than anything else. I mean, it was lap 10 when this happened, I think.
Somewhere around there.
We didn't get a chance to see him sort of put in a full run and, with a completely clean program. So I'm viewing it more as a one-off. I think the bigger thing was the mental approach that he showed sort of building up to, say, FP3 in quali. And this is something that I didn't really know until actually it was Zach Brown that sort of walked me through it, like how some younger drivers go in and they try to win the race in FP1, and you've got to really sort of ease into the week. And he said that was one of the things that really stood out about Oscar's rookie year, is he had that already, that mentality of, I'm going to build myself up to FP3 in quali. Like, I'm not going to go out there that first lap of FP1 on a cold set of tires and try to lay down a MaxVerstappen type lap. Like, that's how, as a rookie, you get yourself into trouble. And you feel, and you could see last year that there were times when that's what Logan was doing. And he talked a lot in New York City about how I have to build up through the course of a race weekend into FP3 and quali. James talked about that, how Logan needs to sort of build and pace himself up, not just his lap time pace, but over the course of a weekend. So I think he'll be better in that aspect of being an F1 driver this year. So I'm looking at it as, this is a one-off. They had some reliability issues. Let's see what it looks like over the next couple of weeks. Let's see what it looks like when we get to the European circuit. But yeah, I really hope that he sort of proves himself this year.
Yeah,
that'd be exciting.
I definitely agree. Not race related, but I will say, James Val is having me rethink my entire coffee drinking habits with his little spiel in the Drive to Survive episode, where he's like, if you drink it every day, you start lower and get back to your normal state. I'm watching it and I'm like, motherfucker, I should stop drinking coffee every day.
He's such a nerd. He's literally just he's a nerd. He's a nerd. I mean, Total was he's the smartest person I know. He definitely is a genius. But literally that part too, I was like, oh. Well, every time I say morning, I just think of him. Morning.
But the
best was in the editing of that, they didn't have anyone saying morning back to him. So it looked like he was saying morning to
the people that wouldn't reply. Yeah. It's incredible.
we talked about Carlos a little bit, but Ferrari, I mean, we mentioned how Logan had issues like 10 laps in. That whole beginning, I feel like everyone was getting the kinks out. You had Lewis's seat breaking in half.
Yeah. His left butt cheek dropped out. It's just hilarious.
His quote, his post-race interview, and talking about that, you can tell everyone's saying it. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like, he knows he's leaving Mercedes. Yeah. I've never seen him so unserious. Is that Angela again?
Angela decided to print something.
I could see him turning his head.
Well, I hear the printer start going, and I'm like, she's coming in again.
She wants to she liked the comments she got on Threads the other day.
She was very happy about the Threads comments.
Okay, what was I saying?
We're printing.
Oh, Lewis's
Ferrari. Seat
breaking. Yeah, literally, I was losing my mind watching Charles lock up every corner. I was like, what is happening? I was like, what? Because literally he looked fine the whole rest of the weekend. I was like, what's going on? And then he comes over the radio, and I'm like, oh, okay. It's a
Can
issue.
I just say, though, like, I was so impressed with what he did Saturday night.
Yeah.
And it builds off of what we talked about with him after, the finale last year, right? When he's down closing laps of the season and he's trying to figure out how they could get second in the constructors. And we were talking about how it's maturity, it's growth.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Leclerc from like a couple of seasons ago, maybe even early last year, if he had been dealing with that, he would have ended up in the gravel. He would have been in the barrier. Like, he would have pushed too hard, done something, and he would have been out of the race. But he managed it. And then they got the car into the window on that late stint on the hards and gets himself a P4, which when we get down to November could be huge. I mean,
and drop the fastest lap, like one of the fastest laps, and then P4.
I just thought it was like a very sort of mature veteran type performance from him. And so I know, look, if you would have said that, like, he finishes fourth, it would have been, you might have thought it was a disappointment, but I thought the absolute opposite.
I was impressed.
I was very impressed with it. Now, look, they got to figure out the issue with the brakes overheated, like, absolutely. Yeah. But I think, like remember Australia last year? Where it was just like into the gravel right away. And he's like, look, I'm done. Like, he had that feel like he was just done. If this was last year at this time, like, he might have had a similar outcome, but he didn't. And he maximized what they could have gotten. And, Fred praised him after. I thought it was a very, very solid veteran, grown up type of performance that left me very excited about where they're going to go this year. Because if we see that from both of those drivers, Sainz fighting his way through the field and Leclerc having that sort of growth and veteran leadership like we saw late last year and on Saturday night, they're going to be very good.
Yeah. And I think the fight I'm taking Max out of the equation. I think the fight to Checo would be intense every week between the three of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're there. I mean, Carlos was close. I was ready for him to be in DRS range and get past him, but he was just like too far away every time. But no, Carlos. No, he literally was just out of that window. But I was waiting for him to retire. Like, I thought they were going to call him in and not let him continue. I was so waiting for it. But that was a crazy brake issue. I am interested because I saw that they were going to investigate it with their supplier if they say what happened, because it's like something unheard of. Yeah. Like, Carlos was saying after that he did have brake issue, but it's the normal brake issue that everyone in Bahrain has with the dirty air and like driving behind everyone. Like, you just have to control the temperature. But that was different. Like, that was more than just Bahrain dirty air. Like, when you're locking up almost like every lap and you're looking like me, playing the video game, like, it's not good. And, by the way, before I get Owen, the lap preview you did, man, that was awesome. I had to edit the next one.
Oh, wow. That was bad. It was bad, you mean?
No, it was great content. Like, the lap itself. I mean, look, we're all learning.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Fantastic.
We were very happy with that. That was like both of ours like brainchild of just like, Casey said she wanted to do the track facts a little differently this year, and I was like, oh, I want to do stuff with F123, and we just kind of merged it together. But
love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I just like jumping back to Leclerc, like literally like when he locked up the first time, I was like, that's unfortunate. And then when literally the next lap he locks up again and then does it again the next lap, I was like, what the hell is going on? And like, what issues is he having? And then he was, he jumped on the radio at one point and he was like, every time I brake, my car's like turning to the right. Like he was like, it's like, I was like, oh, he is really struggling with it.
Yeah.
And then it was a very odd issue. So that's like when Casey, when you texted him and you were like, they're going to talk to their supplier about it. I was like, that feels right, because it was just such an odd thing to be happening throughout the race. I was like, this feels like more than just like common, like I'm struggling with Bahrain temperatures and dirty air and whatnot issues, because
they did change something on his car on a brake, like a brake duct or something, literally the night before right before the race. So I don't know if that, like, can't remember which brake it was. So I don't know if that was what, I don't know, for some reason triggered it. But yeah, it was definitely, that's when I texted you. I was like, has Leclerc complained about the brakes yet? And you were like, no, but he keeps locking up like crazy. I was like, yeah, it's coming. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I was so pissed.
He'd like locked up it like 5 times at that point.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Every time it happened, I was like, what the hell is going on? Like,
and that's why I'll go into it. That's why I don't want to totally give Carlos driver of the day, because his overtakes on Leclerc couldn't defend anything, because if he would have locked up and he was going to crash into someone else. So like anyone overtaking Leclerc was just like, here you go, I'm letting you go past. Like,
and you also
200.
You also, like, going off of that, like, you saw the confidence disappear in Leclerc at one point when he's driving. Like, I could have turned down the volume on the commentators, because there was an onboard where they went to Leclerc and going through one of the corners, and you could just tell that he was like
his voice
so nervous going into the brakes and going into the turn and then coming out of it and everything. And like I said, I could have turned down the commentators and told you that, but they immediately were like, oh, Leclerc's just losing like all like hope of like diving into a corner like fast and late braking and everything. And I was like, this is brutal. Like,
I think they finally figured out their pit stops. They're quick with their pit stops.
They were fast.
Fastest pit stop. I mean, wow.
Fred made changes last year, and they stuck to that pit stop team.
Fred's already got the ship turned around. I mean, he's getting Lewis. He's got fast pit stops. Like, he's got a veteran car. What is happening?
Number one fan.
The first full year of Fred's leadership looks, their first example of that looked very good for them.
You could also even tell last year halfway when they started making upgrades to last year's car, because last year's car wasn't his. But the minute Fred started making the upgrades, you could tell things were moving in the right direction. I was like, okay, here we go. I was like, I have faith.
I did again, jump into Drive to Survive for a second. In the Ferrari episode, they do talk about that it's not that his last year's car, he took it over from Matteo. I'm going to get his name wrong again because I always forget his first name. Bonato. He's
wine
always the wine man. Yeah. Fred came in and was kind of just like given this car, and it's like, all right, here, do your best with it. And I was happy that they did that, because I was like, I think that's something we learned, just like last year. And it was like, it highlights the point of like when you make those in-season shifts like that, how difficult it is and how you're really not going to see the changes until the next following year of like, okay, now we have a car that was specifically designed under Fred, like all the stuff, and his leadership is kind of fully taken effect now. And this, like I said, this first example of it, this first race looks good, looks perfect, and it was really nice.
I like their.
Then there's Alpine, who are
people are quitting left and right.
Alpine is just, they're going through it right now.
Also, they're like Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Ryan Reynolds, start learning how to do pit stops, because you're going to be changing the tires.
Seriously, at this rate, Patrick Mahomes is going to be designing the A525.
Yeah.
That's going to be Patrick's design.
It'll be
literally
Chiefs colors.
The best was when Casey and I were talking about the race yesterday, and we were talking about the notes and everything, and I was like, I don't have notes for every team, but like some of my notes for teams aren't even notes. And I was like, my one note for Alpine is literally only finished 2 spots ahead because of Logan's mistakes. Yeah. And Bottas and Valtteri's long,
yeah,
long pit stop. I was like,
Yeah.
that is the only reason that they were higher than where they started. Like, the whole race, unnoticeable, nothing happened. And like I said, the only reason they got up was because something else happened that they were kind of able to
and there was that moment late where it was Nico behind them who radioed into Haas like,
Yes.
tell the Alpines basically I'm coming and they're gonna get out of the way. Like when Haas
You gotta
is
move.
dunking on you,
Yeah, you know it's bad.
yeah, it's bad scenes all around. Now, can they figure it out? I don't know, but it's the flip side to that situation we were just talking about. Like the people that designed this year's car are now out the door.
Yep.
And so maybe you can take a step forward mid-season, but I think their dream is to have a McLaren-like rise because McLaren did something similar last year. Like they reshuffled things, they got 3 different people as sort of a team all reporting to Andrea, but this feels different.
It does feel different.
It feels a lot different. And, last year coming out of testing, McLaren was all, we're going to have upgrades. We're planning for Azerbaijan, race 4. Like they had to clear up. What's the plan here? It's just this is going to be challenging, and we're going to sort of reshuffle things. There's no timeline.
Yeah.
And that's what's got me really nervous about Alpine. There's not a timeline of, okay, this is when we're going to expect to roll out some upgrades, and this is what we're going to be doing. It's like, yeah, it's going to be bad. It's going to be challenging, but we're going to work hard. That's what it feels like. And it doesn't instill a lot of confidence.
It's the dog meme where he's sitting in the burning house on fire.
Yeah, Pierre and Esteban are in the cafe. Oh man, I might have to try to mock that up because that's exactly what
it's literally
the factory is burning down around them, and Pierre and Esteban are just trying to sit there and have a good time.
Yeah. And everyone thought the biggest drama was going to be those two not getting along. Meanwhile, the team is melting from the inside. Yeah, no, they're.
Didn't I hear something though before the weekend? Like, did they do something recently where their relationship is kind of repaired?
I don't think
or
so.
Am I making that up?
You're making that up.
I've talked with Alpine about this because I talked with them before Drive to Survive came out, and they were like, "Yeah, they make it seem like these two just do not like each other," and it's not like that. Like. They want to succeed. They get along. Like, are they the friends that they once were back in their karting days? No, but it's not this it's not the situation where they despise each other or anything like that.
Right.
No. Not at all. Like they work together well. I would venture to say they work together better than Danny and Yuki do right now.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
But I think a lot of people work better together than Danny and Yuki right now. But no, there's this. I don't know if it's officially been patched up, like you said, Owen. Okay. But I think DTS kind of plays it up a bit.
Yeah, they definitely do. Well, they go into the whole karting history.
Yeah.
They really delve into the background.
You don't see Pierre and Esteban sitting next to each other at Wimbledon. You see Pierre and
Charles.
They're not the best of friends, but they work well together. I think DTS played that up a little bit.
Also, Drive to Survive when they do the karting race and Esteban spins, I was like, Esteban, you're going too hard.
Seriously.
And your Charles Leclerc branded kart. Yeah, I like that little. Alpine.
Yeah.
Alpine.
Poor. I do want to talk about, because I don't fully buy it, is Mercedes and the issue that Lewis was having. In the beginning,
where a seat broke? I'm just kidding.
Well, that. But when he got on the radio at one point, it was like, my battery is dead. I have 1% left, and it was lap 12.
Oh yeah.
And they were talking about it, and I swore I heard this because I wrote this note as soon as I heard it. Somebody said that it wasn't an electrical issue or a power issue. It was just Lewis had burned through his battery. And I was
quick?
I don't buy that for 1 second. You're telling me that 7-time world champion just forgot how to drive and just immediately burned through his battery in 12 laps? I'm like, no, there's no way.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
I forget
they were obviously dealing with an overheating issue. That was the main issue. They had it. Williams had it. The battery thing. I don't think that was on Lewis.
No, and that's what I immediately thought. And I wish I could remember who said it, but like I'm telling you, I was sitting here watching it, and they're like, "Oh, it's not a bad, I'm hearing that it's not a power unit issue or a battery issue. It's Lewis just burned through his battery," and I immediately was like, "What?" I was like, "No,
It's not
no."
rookie.
Yeah, I'm like, he's
no.
not Mark and I playing F123 and just slamming the,
I mean, I've done that. I mean, I know exactly what it looks like. That's not what Lewis was doing.
I do 5-lap races and my battery is at 20% by the end of the. God, I was like, there's no way.
I know it. Yep.
Owen's in his normal street car and burns through his battery.
Yeah. Because I'm slamming it down Montgomery Ave. I'm like,
well, that is a racetrack, so. What?
Yeah, I wanted to bring it up just because I was like, I don't buy this for an instant.
No, I don't buy that. No.
I was like, it has to be some form of power issue and whatnot. And then right after I think they said that, they'd also then were like, oh, Williams is also having like an issue with their batteries and whatnot. And I was like, there it is. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, the Mercedes powered cars were having some issues all weekend. Yeah. I mean, sorry, guys.
No, I was just gonna say, like, even at Aston, it's like, they still got into the double points, but didn't show the pace that they had last year.
Yeah. Alonso wasn't on the podium. Hype train wasn't rolling on through. I liked when everyone was having the major issues and you got like all the crazy radio messages, like my seat broke in half, and then all Red Bull's issue was their radio. They just sounded like they were robots.
You need to shout. You need to shout. Like that was the only problem they had on Saturday was Checo couldn't hear.
And I love that we got the immediate return of like people making jokes about Max watching the race during the race. Did you see him in the like cool down room afterwards? Like he says to Checo, like, "Oh, it's either Checo or Carlos. I can't remember who." And he was like, "Oh, I saw that. Like that was a good move. I saw that happen." And people immediately were like, "There he is. He's watching the goddamn race as he's driving again."
When he's playing with his red line team streaming the night before the race.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. I mean, he cares, but he.
Did you see the clip of him?
He looks like it's a hostage situation, and he's like, comes over and he's like, all of a sudden he just hear, help! Help! It's his face.
So funny.
Straight nostril and like one of his eyes, like.
I forget who I sent that to, but I sent it to somebody. I'm like, this is a 3-time world champion.
Yeah.
About to be a 4-time world champion. The response was, well, he never got to be a kid. So
no, he never.
That's what we're getting now.
True.
We are getting it now.
Yeah.
I find that funny just because it's like everybody immediately assumes that Max is just like so serious and like Drive to Survive doesn't help it either. But like, Max.
Well, they didn't even show him this year.
And everything, like all this stuff. And they barely show him this year. And then it's like you see clips like that and you're like, oh, you're just a goofball. Like you're just like,
absolutely.
He's a weirdo.
Last year when they like went back to the factory at the end of the season and he like does the like somersaults into the chair. He sits down. It's like, he's just a goofball. He just happens to be a robot who doesn't blink during the course of a race.
It's a switch.
He has personality.
He does.
He can do it.
Turns it off once he gets in the car.
Yeah,
it's just a switch when he gets into the car. It's just like I'm going cyborg mode, and
this reference will date me a little bit, but Over the Top, does that movie mean anything to either of you?
No.
Okay. So the 1980s were a wild time, kids. Okay, there was a movie starring Sylvester Stallone about competitive arm wrestling.
I gotta watch it.
Called Over the Top, and he's like a tractor trailer driver who like had a child with this really rich woman and her family, and the rich dad is like trying to like take away the kid, and he wants to like prove to this father-in-law and everybody around him that he can be something in his life. So he wants to win this arm wrestling tournament where it just so happens the grand prize is a beautiful new tractor. I mean, it's a beautiful tractor. And there's a moment in it where he talks about he's always wearing this hat, but he's like, when I turn the head around, it goes backwards. I become a different person. And it's like, that's Max when he gets in the car. But Over the Top. I mean, the 80s were weird. We had breakdancing movies. We had arm wrestling movies. There you go.
Owen, you add it to your list.
I would just like to. Case, can you do this for a sec?
Yeah, hold on.
Can you share this?
Yes.
Because I'm getting this printed out and I'm putting it on.
Yes.
my
See?
wall.
Look at that. Look at that.
This is the most 80s poster I've ever
there's
seen in my
another
life.
80s sports movie. We almost wrote our top 39 80s sports movies. There's one called American Anthem, which is about gymnastics, which is also incredible, and it has an incredible soundtrack. But yeah, Over the Top is perhaps at the peak of 80s sports movies. It's up there with Rocky IV, which again is just tremendous content.
I've seen that one.
Yeah. That's also in the People Also Search For column with this movie, Rocky IV.
What, Rocky IV?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the craziest one. Anything else to add from the race? I don't have anything.
I have nothing.
We hit everything.
Okay. Do you have questions, Owen?
I do have, for Mark, pints of pit stops.
I thought I was ducking this. Now I'm going to get 5 wrong. Oh, man.
No. You're not ducking this. Come on. So I'll tell you this. So they are all questions from the race this weekend. There a lot of them we did just kind of talk about.
Okay.
So we have,
so I get a shot. I got a shot. All right.
I was when Casey, when we had started and you said all right, we're just gonna go right into it. I was gonna interject and be
do it first.
We should do pints and pit stops first. But I was like, it's fine. Who cares? So
it's a good segue into
it. Yeah. So what we're gonna do? I'm gonna hold up the clock, Mark. We changed this last time. I'm going to read the first question to you, and then when the question is done, I'm going to start the clock.
Okay.
Yes.
Fair enough.
And then also the fifth and final question, because I had really trouble thinking of it, is an opinion question.
Oh,
so there's no.
So I can technically get it right. So I can.
Yes.
I'm guaranteed at least one. All right.
There's no correct answer. It's just I was really trying to think of one, and I was really, really struggling with it. And then I was like, you know what? It's going to be an opinion-based question, but I wanted to tell you so that way it wasn't like when the question came out, you were burning time of just
And
what's your pint today? Water, Owen?
No, my pint is actually Surfside iced tea and vodka.
Oh, because you still had one left over.
Yes. So this is my pint. All right. So like I said, I'll read the first question. I'll start the clock. All right.
Pressure.
Which way was Charles Leclerc's car drifting during the GP under braking?
To the right.
What did Alex Albon's steering wheel tell him during the race?
Car too hot.
What car was averaging better lap times than both Aston Martins?
Oh.
So go on, use.
What was the time of Max's fastest lap?
132.926.
Who had the best pose in the new intro for this year?
I love Yuki's, okay? I'm just going to say that right now. I absolutely love Yuki's. It's statuesque. And at first when I saw it, I was like, no, I don't like this. And I really liked Pierre sort of looking into the camera kind of thing. That's my favorite meme from it. But the more I watch it, and I've watched it an obscene amount of times, I'm just going to say that right now. Yuki's is my favorite. Yeah.
That's good. That's a good answer. All right.
Oh, so after they released their behind the scenes today, I'm like, you gave us the same pose for almost everyone, and you have all those options. I was like, come on. I can make it different.
I also do kind of like Lewis's.
Yes.
I like that too.
So I think that one looks the best because it looks the most natural. And it's because there's movement to it.
Yeah.
He's just he's moving around a little bit instead of just you get the smolder from 19 other people. And it's like, all right, this is weird.
And the cheese ball smile from Daniel Ricciardo. Did you watch the behind the scenes video, Owen?
I didn't watch that.
So they go into the set and it's instrumental music with George Russell, talking about how the set looks cool. And then it cuts to Oscar Piastri and he's like, George can't put his arms up. I know he's tall, but it's a little too far for him. Oh, we didn't talk about the Spider-Man meme from the driver's parade.
That was pretty funny.
Did you see that?
Where Fernando sees a Spider-Man
and they're Spider-Man. Said it's an episode of The Office. Okay, give your answers.
All right, yes. So I have the answers. Mark, you got you got 4 out of 5 right.
Oh, okay.
4 out
I'll
of
take
5
that.
right.
I'll take that.
So which way was Charles's car drifting during the race? Under braking to the right. We talked about that. What did Alex Albon's steering wheel tell him during the race? It literally was car too hot. Yeah.
No grammar needed.
Yeah, car too hot.
Car too hot.
It's me
What
on
car was averaging better lap times than both Aston Martins? This was actually Nico Hülkenberg in the Haas.
I almost said Nico. I'm mad about that one.
It was a Haas. That was it. Like I forget the full stat, but the gist of it was like his average lap times were faster than the Aston Martins. So I saw that a couple times on Twitter. What was the time of Max's fastest lap? It is technically a 132.608. You said 132.9, whatever. I'm giving you that
Close
one.
enough.
The fact that you got the 132.
Okay.
You're literally within 0.3 of it. So you're good. You're good on that. And then the last one being what was the best?
I'll take 4 out of 5. I think that's okay. I mean, I got to say, though, when we got to, an hour in and it hadn't come up, I was like, okay, good. It's like, I was
clear.
Yeah, I thought I was in the clear. But I'll take 4 out of 5. That works.
Yeah. Very good. And your final time was a 34:14. So
still working
now
on that.
Quicker than Valtteri's pit stop. Quicker than Valtteri's pit stop. That's fine. I'll take it.
Anything's quicker than Valtteri's pit stop.
Yeah.
Did you see the clip of that where like it was saying like his pit stop was almost as fast, I guess, as like a lap he did last year in or 2 years ago in a Mercedes? Yeah. I was like, that's so sad. So sad to hear.
Literally, on the broadcast, they were like, he already has the record for the longest pit stop, and he's probably going to get it again.
Yeah, which lasted, like 28 hours?
Yeah.
Technically? Yeah.
Could have done so much during that pit stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we have all 3 times between the 3 of us. So we'll start.
Still need his whiteboard behind you.
Yeah, next week when I quiz Casey, or if next week Casey quizzes me, we'll have a benchmark of time.
No, I feel like I should quiz you on like IndyCar or something.
Yeah,
but I don't know that much.
And why are you going to quiz me on IndyCar, Case?
I'm going.
Yeah, there it is.
I'm going. I'm so excited. So excited. It'll be a fun time. Get to do some fun things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weather's looking okay. There's a chance of rain Sunday, so I need to buy a poncho. But yeah, get to do some fun things. I was telling Owen when I was buying tickets, I never realized how affordable IndyCar is.
Yeah,
like
it's a very positive thing for IndyCar.
Yes.
Especially if you F1.
Yeah. But I'm really excited. I'm excited to see. I know obviously a few of them. I ended up binging the 100 Days to Indy 500 from last season, and that's good. I said I might have liked that a little bit more than Drive to Survive. It was really, really good. Yeah, it's actually on YouTube. You can watch all the episodes for free on YouTube,
even better.
in a playlist. Yeah, but it's really good. But yeah, I'm very, very excited. So
you should be. It's gonna be awesome.
Posting stuff everywhere. But yes, Jeddah. We did get a question from our good friend Linus about Jeddah. Yes. So, they said, do you think George will beat Lewis again, especially given Russell's pace in Jeddah last year? I looked it up. He did finish 4th behind the Red Bulls and Alonso. Or was it Alonso? Oh, yes. Because he was on the podium, then he gave his trophy back. That was the whole thing.
Yeah. And I was reminded of perhaps the best moment of the entire season last year was the exchange between Mercedes and Russell, Aston Martin and Alonso, when it came down to the trophy.
Yeah.
And do you remember how all the memes that came out? They were incredible. There was the one where Fernando was like this. And there's the other one. It was just like hola when the penalty get overturned, and Russell had his picture with the trophy being like, harsh penalty for Fernando, but happy with P3. Penalty gets overturned. Fernando just tweets hola with a photo of him like this. It's just like, okay, this is tremendous content. But it didn't stop there, because there was another tweet that Russell had put out, and he put a Bautista wrestling gif of give me what I want, just in response to it. And so Mercedes captured the video, so it was great. To Linus's question, I do think George is going to finish ahead of Lewis.
I could also.
Yeah.
And last year they certainly hit they were both in the top 5 last year because Lewis was P5, Russell was P4.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Russell showed a bit more pace last week. Now maybe that was Bahrain specific and it comes back, but yeah, I think he does.
No,
and
I agree.
Also, quick aside, we love Linus. Linus is true.
Love Linus. Love Linus.
We are big Linus fans here.
Mm-hmm. Love Linus. No, I can also see it. I also feel like because of the Mercedes situation, I feel like Russell's already going to start getting the preferential treatment from Toto and the team.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I get the better strategy and all that. So yeah, I could see that playing a part.
Random aside, it's weird, right?
It's weird.
I mean, we haven't had a chance to sort of talk about the Lewis thing since it happened, and I know it's been a while, but being the guy that does NFL/F1 stuff, I would go on radio spots and people were like, "What do you compare this to?" Like Lewis leaving, for Ferrari. And it's like, yeah, it's like Tom Brady. Like there's that easy parallel, but it's like Tom Brady saying, "I'm going to play one more year in New England and then go to the Jets." It's very, very weird, and a lot of more casual F1 fans or even non-F1 fans don't understand how this is going to work. I don't understand how it's going to work. And I think, Casey, you're absolutely right. Like, if you're Mercedes, what are you going to start setting up things for? It just seems weird, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely, and that's why I started earlier. That's why I already feel like Lewis, he knows. He doesn't really care. That's why I like the way he's talking in post-race stuff and everything. He just seems a little more unhinged. But yeah, it's strange to make your move a whole season before it actually happens. It's weird.
I was saying when the news first broke and everything, and we were talking about it, I said,
craziest day ever.
Part of their, press release when they say these things is always the caveat of yes, I'm going here, but I'm also so, I'm so
dedicated.
committed to this team this year and so dedicated and everything. And it's there are, the moment you announce that you're going to a new team a full year before you do it, there's going to be people that are going to be like, well, you're not fully committed. You're not fully dedicated. And there's going to be people that don't buy that from you and don't when you say hey, I'm still with Mercedes for this year. I'm going to make sure that we perform as best as we can this year. There's going to be the people, and I'm one of them, that it's well, not really, or I don't buy that fully because it's at the end of this year, it's this isn't my issue anymore. I don't care. And yeah, you're going to start seeing, George is going to get race strategy, preference and everything. And, there's going to be meetings about developing next year's car that Lewis is not going to be a part of. There's going to be strategy meetings for next year that Lewis is not going to be a part of. And as much as he wants to say it won't affect him, there's going to be some side of him that's going to be all right, this is kind of annoying, but also at the same time, he has to know that. So it's this whole big, the best word to describe it is what you said, Mark. It's weird.
He's leaving his home for the past how many years and moving somewhere else. So you never thought he was ever going to leave Mercedes. So it's definitely wild. And then you have Charles and Lewis talking the entire time together on the driver's parade, and people are like, what do you think they're talking about? People are Charles is saying you better start practicing your Italian. You better telling him what to do, to-do list before you move. Yeah. I'm excited though. I'm excited.
I'm definitely excited to see how it turns out. I think the other weird aspect, and we've talked about this before, Case, is you get into this whole conversation of who's number one driver at Ferrari. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing next year is going to be okay, who is the number one? And it goes from there, and it's the whole thing. And this whole concept of just even silly season, regular silly season of hey, I'm going to be leaving at the end of this year is that's weird to me. That it's just then going in, the next time you see these people after that announcement's made, they're going to be kind of screw you, you're leaving us, you're leaving us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the fact that was a full year, a full season in advance is just, it's mind boggling. It's so odd.
Yeah.
But it's just, yeah. And then there was the whole Drive to Survive episode with him and how it's like at the end of it, he was like, oh, there will never be a time where I'm not a, Mercedes driver and everything. And it's like,
they knew what they were doing.
Up with
They knew exactly what they were doing. That was on the edited room floor.
Yeah.
And they were like, wait a second.
Hold on.
Cliffhanger.
We're going to get back into edited because we're going to get that in.
Do you think,
it was like how
next year you get like a previously on Drive to Survive and they flash back to this episode from the season?
It's just previously on Drive to Survive.
It's the Monaco press conference. It's all of that, all the rumors. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's someone literally said Gun Drives 5 when at the end of the episode when they say Gunther's contract wasn't renewed and at the end it was like the black with the white letters. People were like, am I watching the end of a Marvel movie? Like Spider-Man to return.
Yeah. Gunther will return someday,
Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari. He will return. Return in red. Yeah. No, it'll be interesting to say the least with them together. It'll be an interesting dynamic. I think they'll get along. But I guess also goes the same for Carlos. I mean, he's obviously the one without a seat right now, but what do they start hiding from or not telling him as the season progresses? But
yeah.
Who knows?
It's all weird.
It's all weird.
Yeah, it's just all weird.
It's all
thinking about it in any other sport just does not make sense. But I guess it's F1 and it makes sense for them.
It makes sense for F1 because it's like NFL or other leagues. You have like a trade deadline or free agency.
Yeah.
I mean, not like the NFL doesn't have its own quirks. Like next week is the start of the legal tampering period, which as an NFL writer and a former lawyer, I find so offensive because there's no such thing as legal tampering. Like those don't go together. It just drives me nuts. But you get the legal tampering period of free agency. But
I can start picking up those phones.
Yeah. But I definitely should we do predictions?
Yeah.
For next week.
I have to make your next little video of you driving Jeddah.
Jeddah.
Oh,
Jeddah.
Another Saturday race, okay? And then we lose sleep for 3 races.
Oh, that's right. Oh.
Yeah.
I know. Everyone wants to do a live watch for Australia because that's the earliest one.
Mark, hold on. Let's get Mark's thought on this. You cannot tell me that a drunk episode of this show, live stream during a race, whatever it is not a good idea.
I mean, I think it's a brilliant idea. Please don't.
Casper will be here.
Because I will be. Well, I'll be up for it. I know, but I can't stay up and drink. Like that just kills me.
No,
there's some logistics that need to go into it, but we could do it
slow and steady. Okay, but okay, predictions.
1 a.m. is tough. China's
3.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be around for Chinese Grand Prix this year. See, Australia was around that time. I think it was like 1 or 2.
It was 2 because I remember being in a bar in Philly and we hadn't left yet. And like right as we decide to go, all of a sudden I see the TVs just turn. I see the big F1 logo and I see Australian Grand Prix. And I was like, wait, let's stay.
So I remember being half awake for the whole end of that race. And I was like, I think I'm comprehending what's happening, but I am not sure with the whole last crash and all that. Yeah, no.
We were on spring break with the kids, and so the rest of the family was in bed. I stayed up, and then I was like, "Oh, I'll just do a quickie when this race ends." And then that happened. So I'm like, "All right, so this is not going to be a quickie." And so I was up from like 4 to like 5:30, crawling to bed for like an hour, and then it's like, "All right, Dad, let's go. We got to go to the water park." And it's like, "What?
What?
No. Now you got to spend all day running around.
Yeah, at a water park, an indoor water park. You know how loud those things are, kids? Like, I wanted to just like throw myself into the wading pool and just like knock it out.
There you go.
A disaster.
At least after China, though, it's the next Grand Prix is Miami, and that's a reasonable time for us.
That is a reasonable time.
And a sprint weekend.
And a sprint weekend.
But yes, okay, predictions. Who wants to go first?
I'll start because I'm going to go full delirium here.
So you have to go, I feel like. You have to have fun with it at this point because you know who's winning.
I'm going full delirium. Max P1. This is for the race, too. I'm just.
Yeah, that's fine.
Max P1, Lando P2,
Oh.
Charles P3, which
Oh.
I'm pretty sure was my
Yeah, it
prediction
was.
for this race. But
Okay.
that's what I'm going.
All right, I'll go next. I'm actually going to do. Forget predicting P1. Like
That's fair.
P2,
You know what?
3, and
I'm going to do
We should do
P2 through
yeah.
4. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm going Carlos, Charles, Lando 2 through 4, and complete delusional prediction here: a sneaky Haas double points.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Oh.
because K-Mag was P10 last year.
Yes, he was.
And if they've taken a step forward in both race pace and tire wear, I'm just saying.
I like it.
What was Nico last year?
I think he had an issue.
So many people crashed or had an issue last year that I can't
there
tell
were
you.
a lot of DNS last year, right?
And that Carlos penalty that he probably shouldn't have gotten.
He finished 12th. Okay. He was just
All right, that's not
outside
bad.
the points.
Oh, so there you go.
They had 10, 12 last year. I'm just saying. And look, I mean, if I got to put it on, I'll just put it on.
There you go. There it is.
Okay. I'll say I'm not going to, Max P1, obviously. I'm going to go delusional. Charles P2, I think he's going to drive like a madhouse if he gets that brake issue figured out. And then I'm going to say George P3.
Okay.
Lando P4. I feel like we do have to start giving 1 through 4.
We should probably do 1 through 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Max, Charles, George, Lando.
All right, then I'll throw in my 4th place.
Yeah,
well.
you didn't give one.
I'll go Lewis. I'll do the other Mercedes for P4.
Okay.
So yeah,
Like-
Max, Lando, Charles, Lewis for me. Happy.
I can close
with the
this out.
predictions written down on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I my hand scratching there. Before we go, I do have to say something. I was supposed to be on last week. Something came up. My dad got a pretty tough medical diagnosis. It was a rough week last week. He had some surgery. He's expected to go home on Tuesday, but I do want to say the internet, social media, it can be a bad, scary place. People can be mean. Casey and Owen were kind of in the loop with everything that was going on. I had told them about it, obviously. And one of the good things about social media and the internet and stuff like this is people that you may have never met before become actual friends and check in on you. And Casey and Owen did all last week, like every day, checking in, seeing how my dad was. And it truly meant the world to me. And so, guys, thank you for becoming friends. I cannot wait to do one of these shows in person. Maybe the Red Bull show run here in DC or something else. I'm just saying. But it generally meant a ton to me and my family last week. You guys checking every day. It truly meant a lot. I cannot thank you enough. You guys do such great work. I've been so happy to see you guys grow. Happy 50th show. But I did want to say that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for, like you said, thank you for joining us amid
all the time.
Everything. Thank you for joining us all the time. And we love having you here. And, we're so happy that everything with your dad is going as well as it can be right now. So, yeah, we're, thank you so much. And thank you for saying that. We appreciate it. But yeah.
Want me to close this out? Yes. So thank you
out?
so
Yeah,
much for joining
I'll
our.
take 5 minutes doing it.
Yeah, you will. Thank you for joining our 50th episode. It's wild to think that we've. I know that we have 50th episode. Hell's asked if we had cake, and I said no. We should have had cake. Yes. Our socials have been at the bottom the entire time, so make sure you're going over and following us on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter, and also Mark on Instagram, Threads, Threads, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it,
Whatever it is.
all the time.
Yeah.
You can find all of his articles on SB Nation. Always the best. I was very excited to see your winners and losers article back. That's always a good one.
Yes. I do love that article.
Yeah,
it's a fun one to put together.
Yes.
Until McLaren, drops me in a hype video.
Yes.
Boosters did last year, which is I actually emailed about that. I'm like, hey, thanks for including me. They're like, oh, did you like that? Did you?
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, so thank you so much. We will be back next week for our recap, because there's no race next week. I'll also give a weekend recap of IndyCar. So
Yes.
that will be fun. So thank you so much, and we will see you next week. Bye.